Happy New Year. Thanks for coming back to watch some more chess with me. It looks like we're going to get the black pieces to start out here. And I'm going to, we get a close Sicilian. Okay. I'm still going to go with my E6 setup. Maybe a Grand Prix or maybe a Fianchetto. Helps his bishops, so no Fianchetto, maybe a Grand Prix, but I don't understand why he puts his bishop here. I don't know if that's a main line or not. I'm not familiar with close Sicilian as much. And we'll go into our time on off setup. Gotta be a little careful with my queen here on c7 because probably bring a rook over. And then he might get tricks on this square attacking my queen, where if I take back, he takes with check. So that's a really common theme in the e6 Sicilians to be on the lookout for. I'm going to get developed. Get my pieces out. He's pushed this a4 push, so I'm probably going to go with a hedgehog setup here and just push b6 instead of b5. Being kind of my light square bishop. There's not really a fork trick here, I don't believe. Takes, and I try to fork. He takes, I take. I'm attacking here, but he backs off, and maybe there is a fork trick, but he gets the pawn back. And I get an exposed king. It's not really to my benefit there, I don't believe. So his questions are how to develop the dark square bishop, when to move this rook over to the e-file. I would suspect just d3. Just d3 to get this bishop out. And then I'll get developed. I might push over here first. So I'm in no rush to castle. I don't mind playing with my king in the center in these Paulson setups. Oh, he moves the rook over first. Okay. So he wants to push here. He's got two defenders. If he pushes, but then I get to go here and I will have three attackers on. So he has moved his rook here, and there is this trick here now, I think. So he can attack my queen, and if I take, he takes back with check and wins my knight. So I'm going to block this rook from my king. And then I'm tempted to castle, but I'm also, let's see, my candidate moves. I suspect he's gonna get his Dark Square Bishop developed. That's his plan. I can castle will be my next thought, or b6 and bishop b7. Without this d file open, like in open Sicilian positions, there's not pressure on this d7 pawn. So I'm a little more comfortable moving that bishop off early. But I don't want to give him tricks with knight d5. So he could maybe think about queen queen e2, renewing this knight d5 threat. Because if okay, he pushes the pawn, and so my choices are to the center, to g4, to h5, or back to g8. And g d5 loses a pawn, so backwards seems very useless. Why not go forward and attack the pawn? The square also is it's not eyeing anything, and it's in danger of getting trapped. Maybe after the bishop eyes up these squares, this square in particular. I think that's the only moves, push forward. Now he's got a third defender. I'm gonna wait for him to kick the bishop or the knight out, create the weakness. Maybe I could look at pushing d5. If he takes en passant, I can take with the bishop. I've got the f pawn and the bishop protecting e6, so take with the bishop, and I'm threatening take here with check. If he doesn't take en passant, I've got another pawn on this diagonal. If he does, I open up this for him. He opens up the file. Well, let's do it. Very, I imagine very tempted to take, because if he doesn't, he's got his power pieces locked in by his own pawn. It's an advanced pawn, but it's blockaded. And he does take en passant, so I take back with the bishop. Now I either come back with the knight, or I can swap knights. Don't know what that really accomplishes me. This pawn's pinned now, so he can't attack my queen here. Let's bring in the knight back to protect this square. Maybe it was premature. Maybe I could have ignored this threat and gone here. Nah, yeah, if takes, takes, and I'm threatening the knight still. Well, then maybe he comes knight e4 and attacks my bishop. I don't want to give up the bishop pair yet. Okay, so he's getting the bishop out. Dark square bishop's preparing to come out. Um, it might be the time to get castled. But if I castle and he comes out to threaten my knight, where am I going to go? What am I going to do with that? I bring the knight here and he takes, takes, and I've lost a pawn. So what do I do with that? I go to h5, threaten to come to f4. Or do I push h6 and keep the bishop out of there altogether? This bishop is locked out of this diagonal at the moment, so I don't know. I think I'm worried about this weakness so much. Normally, I wouldn't be worried about opening up the G file either. But without this knight's starting to come in here and attack my queen. If I do nothing, if I do this, and if I say I continue with the hedgehog position, he pins or he threatens my knight, attacks my knight, and I just continue bishop to b7, bishop takes, pawn takes. Knight d5 would be threatening the queen and the pawn. What if I interpose the bishop here? Prevent the bishop from coming out. He trades, I take with the queen. Then what? I hate to trade off an active piece of mine for an undeveloped piece of his, though. By castle, he comes out, and I go knight to h5. I got this square. If he tries to push this pawn to keep me out, that's good for me. I'm just going to castle and stop overthinking it so much. Now the pawn's no longer pinned. I'll bring the queen here now, though. It's an idea that he might have. Adding some defense on these squares here. So that would prevent my knight from coming here, and he might be threatening a g4 push. Oh, well, I have a battery, so I'd have two defenders on this square already. Then I can come there anyway. Maybe not as useful. Knight here, attacking the bishop. Maybe I attack the queen then. Queen here. And maybe not. Knight here. Maybe I just bring the bishop in and trade off dark square bishops. That hangs this pawn. I don't see that he has any useful discovers with this. So I guess knight e4 looks like just bettering the position of the knight, improving it. I think that's his certainly a candidate move of mine. Attacks both these pieces, the pawn and the piece. And I might so knight here, maybe knight d4 attacking the queen. Knight takes. That's a bad deal because that opens up. Then that is a good discovery. The queen would be attacking my knight, and I'd have to recapture still. Oh, but I'd be attacking the pawn. No, the knight's already here in this position, so I'm not attacking. This is a blunder because knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and I'm down a piece. So the more I calculate, the less I like this knight over here, but we're gonna make it work one way or another. If he attacks the bishop and pawn, and I retreat to oppose his dark square bishop, we can trade, I can take, and I'm still defending the pawn. Otherwise, I'm abandoning the pawn. If I go here and he takes, and I take the dark square bishop, he takes with the knight. And then I attack the queen. That's a discover on the knight. So do I pick up the knight in that scenario? If I go here, and he takes the pawn, I take the bishop. He takes the bishop. I attack the queen. He takes my knight. I pick up the knight. And he's threatening mate here. So no, that's a bad deal. Bad deal for me. Um, I think I just have to retreat and oppose the dark square bishops. And if he takes, I take back with the queen. Might look at pushing g6 to support my knight against any discover. Weakens this square a lot. Still got this idea, maybe attacking the queen. If he moves the queen, I can take the bishop. He takes with a knight. And I'm left with a knight here. It's protected. This pawn's hanging. But my knight isn't hanging anymore. So do I take with the queen or do I take with the knight? Pretty sure I take with the, well, either way protects the pawn. And this way, I might be able to bring the knight back into the game over here after I avoid the fork. I also got a nice little outpost here, blocking the bishop a little bit and protecting this square. It also keeps my queen off of this file and this queen and rook battery. So I think I sold myself on the knight. And I've still got to get this light square bishop into the game. Hmm. Cheers. Happy New Year, everyone. This square for my knight. Maybe I can chain my knights together here. If he ever pushes g3, I've got this. And as long as my queen is on this diagonal, it keeps the king from coming up to protect the h-pawn. Still no good discoveries, but if I... Oh, the knight protects the h-pawn from here. Okay. He does open up his attack on the knight. And I attack the queen. So if I come to f4 and attack the queen, he goes queen g4. You might have a threat of knight f6. I don't want to push g6. I don't think I do. With this knight here, looking at sacrifices, I'd have to take with the h-pawn because I don't want to weaken this and open this up. Come here, he goes queen g4. He is threatening to push g3, attacking the knight. I can bring the knight back, and the knights are chained together here. I think that might be a nice defense. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Oh, he does not bring the queen in here. He attacks the knight directly. There are two attackers on the pawn now, but I have been dying to push b6 for a long time. So I don't see what's stopping me from doing that now. I thought queen g4 was a much better move. I'm gonna go here. So now my bishop can get in the game. Thank you very much, sir. It's always nice when your opponent is considerate like that. Maybe he forgot that my queen was protecting the knight. I neglected to see where my opponent was from. He has beat me once before. Um, but I'm not sure where he's from. It says click here to see our stance on the war in Ukraine. I might check that out after the game. I don't like clicking out of the game while the game's going on, but opponent's down to 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and I have 5:03. So time's good. I have a clear plan now for this bishop. Finally been able to execute that. And I think everything is held together over here with the knights, because I can bring the F knight back here to G6 or the E knight over to G6 to protect each other. And without the queen on the G file, there's no knight move here. He's going to get into some severe time pressure here. Well, with 15 seconds increment, it'll basically turn into a blitz game for him. A bullet. "17 moves is all. I put together a solid defense here, and I think my opponent just wasn't sure how to proceed. And you win a lot of games like that if you can just, with black, if you can just hold together a solid defense. Um, Players that love to attack with white, and I'm one of them. I'm very guilty of this as well. I will press the attack and try to force things. So the knight's pinned now, and there is a pin on the G pawn. So it's pretty reasonable to bring this knight up to double down on the protection here. There isn't another piece that can get to this at the moment. So I'm I'm gonna protect the knight, and then I'm going to can't take with the knight, that drops the queen. So I'm gonna take with the H pawn. Or am I? I can think about it for a second here. Do not want to take with the knight. That's bad. But if I take with the G pawn, I'm weakening the defense here. I have the bishop on it still. If I go with the H pawn, so you have knight here with the plan of bringing the queen in. That forces him to unpin the knight, though. So we're going to take with the H pawn. And I feel like perhaps he's moving out of just dire necessity at the moment. So let's develop this. And then let's protect our queen so that the knight can come back if necessary. Oh, well, that drops the queen, doesn't it? Yeah, that. No, the knight's protecting it. Okay, knight's protecting the queen. But I can take the knight and then check with the knight here and then pick up the queen. So I win the queen. Or the piece. He doesn't have to. He can save the queen right now, but he dropped the piece at least. Okay. So he did save the queen. God save the queen. And now I challenge the bishop. It takes, I take with the knight, and the knight's protecting the queen. So I'm up a piece. Time pressure got the best of him. He did see the knight, that the knight was uh, gonna move and win the queen. So, well, now I can bring the knight back here, and I'm threatening the G pawn. Now I'll just trade queens and go into an endgame up a piece. Take the bishop. And I'm gonna bring the knight. Where am I gonna take the knight? I'm gonna bring the knight back. Then I'm gonna take control of the open file, and I'm gonna win an endgame. Oh, it did not take. Okay. So I'll take, and then I'll attack it. Now, where does the knight go? Do I attack? Attack the pawn? Why not? Let's attack the pawn. Good game. Good game, friends. So I'm gonna check out this flag thing real quick. On invasion of Ukraine, chess.com on the first days of the invasion of Ukraine. Oh, okay. This is this is the flag specific Russian and Belarusian players sanctioned by the global community have been banned from chess.com. Um, they've closed accounts of oligarchs. Maybe this guy's just a Russian player and they blacked out his flag. Is that what I'm understanding here? Without reading the whole article, I think that's what I'm being led to believe here. This is a Russian player, and chess.com is not showing his flag. Okay, so game review. Um, 87% accuracy, and it was a pretty equal game. Little ups and downs until opponent fell off a cliff and gave me a piece. This is the closed Sicilian with 2e6. Book line until I bring my queen out. But still all good moves. I have a 1.4 edge here, and I give it back with this move to a dead equal game, almost dead equal. Um, what is my better idea here? Maybe just attacking the pawn. Retry this move. Oh, not for white. I don't want to retry the move for white. I want to retry the move for black. So ideas are attacking the pawn again. Attacking the queen doesn't work because knight takes, pawn takes. Maybe it does work. Queen takes, knight, or pawn takes knight. Queen takes pawn. Maybe that works, but I think this is a blunder. A blunder. Okay. Don't blunder pieces. Should push, attack it with the F pawn. Interesting. And if takes, I can take with the G pawn. I can bring my rook over, and I've got a pretty decent attack already. Okay. All right. That's an excellent move on his part. And I should have brought it back to the middle. And it's still an equal game, but with a slight edge for black. And white has a slight edge here. Didn't like that move. I should have just brought it back to the middle and accepted the pawn weakness. And I don't mind playing that. Like many times I've played the positions with an open G file. It's not game ending. Here, wow, that says that's the best move. I thought this was certainly the better move. I want to look at that. Let's retry and see why this isn't. It gives me a full 1.6 advantage. It calls this a blunder because um, F5 forks the two pieces. I don't know why I didn't see that. Of course, F5 forks two pieces, and he, no, wait. Can't he take it with a knight? I take with a knight because the pawn's pinned, so he loses the knight. But then he takes the, nope, he can't take the, because the rook's now protecting this. Okay. All right. That makes sense. I was not eager to open up and push this pawn because the bishop eyes this, eyes the king there. But I should have seen that this was a fork and calculated that out. That's backwards. I want to go back to game review. And this was a mistake on his part. A miss on mine. I probably maybe should have brought the knight back here to protect the queen and offered a queen trade. It's my, no, it still wants me to push this pawn. Keeps the rook can take, so the knight isn't threatening this. But wow, I could not bring myself to even entertain that idea of pinning this bishop. White has an edge here. But that was his blunder, and it instantly gives me a 5-point edge. So we go from 0.4 for white, relatively equal, less than half a pawn edge for white, to a full rook advantage here. Because the knight can move with check. The knight is currently protecting the queen, so I have to snap the knight off first, which is my great move. And he can't take the bishop because he loses the queen. And now it's just playing an endgame up a piece. A full rook advantage, even though I only have the knight. My pawns are, they've got good structures. I'm gonna just clean this up. Well, that was a fun game. I appreciate y'all watching. I hope y'all had a wonderful holiday bringing in the new year, and come back and enjoy some more chess with me.